live on YouTube right now. Hey guys, this is the very first ever Overhyped Book Club live stream. For this month, we had a Twitter poll, and our Twitter poll ended up picking The Wicked Saints by Emily Duncan as our very first novel for us to read for the month. And this is our discussion on whether or not the book is worth the hype that the internet has given it or not. I guess we'll do introductions first. I am Majelle from Majelle Bell.
I'm Katie from Katie's Book Nook.
I'm Karina from Bookish Babbles.
And I'm Kendra, just from Kendra Cuss.
Nice. So the way that we're going to do this is we're going to start out with a sort of spoiler-free synopsis of the book, just for the people that didn't have a chance to read a book or anything like that. They know whether, kind of how we feel about it. Does anyone want to start on their opinion with the book?
I guess. Do you want me to give a summary of it too?
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Sure, yeah.
So basically, we follow three individuals: Nadia, who can speak to the gods; Seraphim, who is a prince facing assassins at all turns; and I know how to pronounce
Malakiaj is like how she was saying it.
It's
Malakiaj.
Okay,
I call him Malakazi.
I know.
I call him Malachi.
I was Malakiaj.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
It's Malakiaj, and I had it in my head, and then it just went out the window.
I know.
Yeah.
For me.
And Malakiaj is very dark with some mysterious powers, and they come together in this Slavic-inspired country to assassinate the king.
That's really good, actually.
Yeah.
I could not pull that summary off.
I've literally, it's because it's been on 10,000 of my TBRs.
That's so funny.
That's great.
So the biggest conflict, I guess, in the book is that it's a war between two countries. One country believes that gods give them power and they're sort of divine because of that. And the other country believes that they don't believe in the gods at all. They harm themselves to get blood out of their body and use that to be able to perform magic. So it is kind of like a religious book in a way because of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked that it was this religion versus the opposite, but it didn't feel like it was religious. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I don't know how to
sure.
describe that. It didn't feel like you were sitting there trying to learn about a religion. It was just very easy to comprehend. I don't know. That was just
especially the passages before every chapter. It gave you a little bit more into the world, and I felt like it was a little piece of world building that didn't feel info dumping.
Yeah,
I actually really like that device when books will do a little passage before the start of a chapter, because I think it sets the tone really well and can give you a little flavor of the world building in a different way than just writing it in the book. And I think it usually works pretty well for helping with world building.
I think the awesome thing about it too was every time there was a little bit of a passage that was about a previous saint who existed or anything like that, or a previous cleric, is that they were also bitter at the end. It would be about this amazing person, and then it would be and they died a really tragic death.
And they were never seen again. I loved it.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I was confused by them, but then they related to the chapters, kind of.
They came.
I really liked that. Yeah, I really liked that.
Yeah, but my overall thoughts going into it, so I wasn't sure if I was gonna buy into the hype or not, because it seemed like people were really, really excited about it before it came out, and then people were reading it, and there started to be differing opinions, and people were it's not worth the hype. It is worth the hype. But I overall my spoiler-free thoughts are that I enjoyed it, and I thought it was good. Without getting into any depth.
What rating did you give it?
Well, aren't we doing that next?
Oh, true.
I was really torn until the end. And then at the end, I was like, oh my gosh.
This is it.
Seriously.
It has one of the most shocking endings, I would say. It took a turn in the direction that I was not expecting.
Lots of emotions. I feel like the thing for me is there was a lot of people around me, my friends and all that, they hated the book. They did not get past the 100 pages. And I feel like when you have that influence being like, oh, this book sucks, this book sucks. Like you go into the book expecting it to suck, but like I feel like it pleasantly surprised me.
Yeah.
I'll have to say too is that when the book was chosen, it was like not my like favorite one of the four options that we gave on the Twitter poll.
Yeah.
And you guys can totally attest to this. Is I was like, it was maybe like a week before the live show, and I was like, do you think Twitter would hate if we like changed the book to like the runner-up book? And they're like, no, we're not doing that, Majelle. But then it's so funny because I ended up absolutely loving the book. Like I'm so excited for the next ones to come out in the series. Like I'm actually in love with it. So good.
Ruthless thoughts. Did you guys see the cover of it?
Yeah.
Wait, it was released?
No, but the cover.
Yeah, the cover, like the cover for the next one.
Oh, I feel like I've seen
I
it.
have to Google that.
Isn't it more blue than red?
No, it's like
it
all
doesn't
red.
have like the. Wait, is it?
Yeah, it's like
Googling
all red and
tab.
black.
Basically, am I going to need the original cover? Because all I have is the Owl Crate one. So.
No, it would probably match really well with the Owl Crate one.
That's good.
If you see it.
That's good.
Oh
And,
yeah, it's very red.
One thing to talk about that if anyone has seen Madison Mary, aka Princess Paperback, she went to a signing for Wicked Saints and she heard Emily Duncan talk. And the way that this book is structured, like the trilogy, each one focuses on a character. So this one was Nadia's book, and the next one's going to be Seraphine's book, and the last one is going to be Malachiage's book. So
that is so intriguing. Like I don't know what to think. You know,
because this book, even though we got all of the characters and we got the two perspectives were Nadia's and Seraphine's, I did definitely focus more on like Nadia's journey and her like questioning everything that she believes in, basically.
Like her chapters had more like depth to them, and they were a little bit longer sometimes. Whereas like Seraphine's, I felt like were shorter. Like I loved them, but they were a little shorter.
Kind of like an introduction to Seraphine.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it took a long time to get to know him, you know?
Because of what happened at the end, it's definitely going to be. And then apparently the next book is going to be like a gothic forest road trip or something like that.
I'm
that
so here
is
for that.
everything I've wanted. Yeah.
So here for that.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Are we ready to go off spoiler free then?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm down for that.
All right. Next up is our ratings and what we rated the book. I rated it 5 stars because, as I said, I loved this book.
Yeah. I was really torn reading it. I was like, I don't know, will it be like a 4, 4.5? Like I was tossing around like obviously all good ratings, and then I read the end and I was like, it's 5 stars.
Yeah.
That ending really sold me.
I was like I was torn up until the end, and so like basically through like 50% of the way through to 70% of the way through, I was like, man, is this like a 3.5 or a 4 star? Because I'm just wondering like where it's gonna go. And then like 70% and on, I was like, I'm in love with this book. I like loved all the twists it took at that point, all the information we found out, and obviously the ending. And I was just like, this is insane. And so I gave him 5 stars too.
Yeah.
I love how you jumped from a 3.5 to a 5.
Yeah, I know, that's why I was like so torn.
I think it really took a long time to like build, and then once it like got to where it was, you're like, oh, like that made all that other stuff work.
Like in the review I wrote, I basically said like after finishing the book, I completely understood why like we needed that part of the book that
like
I wasn't in love with. Yeah.
Exposition. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
I gave the book 3.5. I
I
am the lowest like rating, but I will say I enjoyed the book for what it was. It's just that the type of reader that I am, I can't sometimes like look past the things that I didn't like about it, especially the beginning. It was it wasn't a slow start.
It was so hard.
It was a very like, it just throws you into this world, and at first it's like how you teach a kid how to swim, and they just throw you in the water and you gotta you know, it felt like that. So I couldn't look past that. And then it would grab my attention, but then I would find myself like being like, why are they doing this? Or like, this is a little boring, I'm skipping ahead. And I found myself like skimming. And the story itself was really entertaining, and especially the ending made me go like, yeah. Because at first I was like, okay, this is a 2-star. That's how I started. And I was like, oh, it's a 3 stars. And I was like, I can't push it to a 4, but definitely like a 3.5.
Fair. Mhm.
Yeah, no, I can accept that.
Yeah.
You guys are all like, I hate you.
No. No, because I was saying, like, I kind of felt the same way, especially at the beginning. I was just like, I don't know how I'm gonna understand this book. And then it's really funny how around like chapter 9, it just totally like levels out for so long.
Yeah.
But like that first like 80 to 90 pages, I'm just like, I have no idea what's going on.
I just kept saying like, why, what is happening, why?
Yeah.
And they start, not only did they start like action-packed right to begin with, but they throw so many names that you can't even read and understand who they are, that you're like, there's like 20 gods that you kind of have to vaguely know, and then like all the different characters, and then a lot of the characters don't even end up mattering because they're in the monastery at the beginning, and the monastery is like no more immediately.
Like Kostya, it was just like, I had a feeling he was gonna, I totally thought he was gonna come back later on, and then he never did. So I'm sure he will like later on in the series.
Yeah.
But I thought it would be in the first book. But
yeah.
Yeah.
No, me too, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you guys want to talk about worlds now?
Yes, because I think there's a lot to unpack with the world.
Yeah.
Before, and I think the biggest part of the world for me was the religion, and that it's like a religious kind of war, but the religion is their magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that could be easily like a topic of like debate, especially like among booktube, and like things are really hard to do right, and she did it so well.
Yeah.
Like there was just a lot of things that really could have went wrong in the way that she put religion as like such a main factor in a YA book, and she did it in a way that it nothing felt like forced. It felt very much like the character's journey through understanding her religious beliefs and everything like that. So kudos to her.
I mean, it's also like as we go along and we learn more about the religion, and like especially like we were saying before, those little passages in the beginning really help build it, because you see all of a sudden like all these clerics are dying, and you're like, this actually doesn't seem like it's that cool. And I just like how Nadia started out like so devout to the gods and was like, they give me my power, like I worship them, I can talk to all of them. And then you kind of see that they're like manipulating her and controlling her. And then as she goes to the country, whatever country with the blood magic, and like it's just these two opposing forces. Yeah, Trevania. Two opposing forces of like these different kinds of magic, and they play off of each other. Like I just thought that was really cool.
Yeah. A big thing for me too was the sort of like Russian and Polish influences that the book really centered around. I thought that was so well done. And I don't know about you guys, if you were getting Shadow and Bone flashbacks. Kendra, I know you were talking about it. It was like
but
Shadow.
I really was.
I saw someone write on Goodreads being like, it's Shadow and Bone if like Shadow and Bone had Elena and the Dark Lady end up together.
Yeah, God, I would love that.
Yeah.
Well, she is heavily inspired by Leigh Bardugo. She like wrote in her acknowledgments like, thank you, Leigh, for like giving me writing inspiration, blah blah blah. But even so, even though it gave me vibes, I still felt like it stood on its own.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I felt there was
literally, sorry, I don't mean that.
No, you go.
I literally wrote the same thing in my interview. I was like, I love how she clearly was inspired by something, but completely made it her own. And it didn't feel like a copy or like a, you know what I mean? Like it just felt like inspiration, and that was it.
Yeah.
I agree. I felt like I really enjoy the new wave of YA kind of, or like the literary world, where there's like a lot of plays on gods, because I recently read, not recently, a year ago, I read The Poppy War, and it just kept popping up in my mind. Like it felt so much like the Poppy War, but if you just put it into like a younger perspective, and it wasn't like, it didn't have the problematic things that the Poppy War had, but again, like the religion was so intricate that it just made me think of that the way that the Poppy War is. And I feel like both of the main characters also face like their views and their challenge. Like they start off either not believing in something at all, and then it's like, oh wait, they do exist. And then it's like over here in Wicked Saints, it's like she grew up for one purpose, and now she's like, oh wait, but like I'm low-key a bad bitch, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
For real.
Actually, yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Are we ready to talk about characters?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think we're kind of almost segueing into that anyway.
Yeah, we totally did.
Because I mean, the whole thing, like religion and Nadia are so closely tied together because she kind of like is this religion.
Yeah.
And then she's like, wait, the coolest part for me was her thinking that her magic was granted by the gods, and then all of a sudden being like, I have my own magic now. I don't need you.
Yeah. If anything, she's only going to grow more. And I wonder if she's going to take a more darker turn knowing that, or if it's going to be a good thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Please.
Something I read on Goodreads, I was reading a bunch of Goodreads reviews before I started this, is that a lot of people didn't like the book specifically because Nadia's character ended up being more of like a love interest, even though it was her own story, that she really went along with what other people told her to do. So I thought that was super interesting.
Thought about that.
Like I didn't notice it, but it's true.
Yeah.
But I felt like
she sorry, you can go.
Well, she spent her whole life doing that.
Yeah. It's something like maybe she can't even break away from, because her whole life, like, she was told what to do, and that's the way that she grew up. And now like she figures out like, oh wait, I am my own woman. I can do whatever I want. Like, you know, like at the end of the book, I felt like she did break out of that and she did what she wanted herself.
Yeah.
I think that was a very purposeful characterization like that, because in the end, when Malachias just, you know, goes and does his thing, she was like, wow, I was so stupid and naive. I let these gods tell me what to do. I let him manipulate me. You know, she just kind of realized, and then that's when she was like, oh wait, but I have my own magic now. And she's kind of starting to break away from that. But I don't think, but I think the whole like thing of her just being a love interest in this book is like purposeful to show how naive she is and how like she's just always following along the path that has been set before her.
Yeah, definitely.
And she was told to be a certain way like her whole life, and she was sheltered that way.
Yeah.
Like put on a pedestal. So I just don't think she like you could see a lot of growth obviously from her throughout the book. And so I think that's only going to continue.
Yeah.
But I totally do think, I agree with you, Katie. I think that like it was purposeful for sure.
But I see where the person comes from, like whoever wrote it, because I remember reading the book and we're spoiling, right? We're spoiling.
Yeah.
I remember when he started, I'm not even gonna say his name. You know who I'm talking about.
Malachias?
That one. He started to get a little bit more evil. I felt like in the beginning, I was like, oh, he's like a bad guy. I'm like so into him. And then he progressively started doing like more shady things. And I'm just like, there's like a line between a gray character and just straight up evil. Yeah. And he started crossing that, and she kept being like, I love you, like, be with me. And I'm just like, no, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But then I feel like she kind of redeems herself in the end.
But I feel like for like a lot of the while, she was still like, she was like, oh my gosh, I'm in love with him. But then she was also like questioning it. She was like, but I shouldn't be like.
She's like, why do I love him? Like, I don't know. Why do you?
I would love him too. I don't know. Like,
I just kept looking at character art yesterday, and I was like, oh my god, I wish he was real with his tattoos.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Like I knew he was something more, obviously, because they kept hinting at that. But then when they rescued her, when she like got out of that, whenever the vultures kind of captured her, and then she like got out of there and ran into him, and then they went to that Pelagia chick or whatever. How do you say her name? Yeah. And then when she just like straight up ousted him, I was like, my jaw literally dropped. Oh my gosh.
I didn't see it coming.
They're like, oh, by the way, he's the black vulture. And I was like,
did anyone actually see that coming though?
No.
I thought he would be like the son or something of the black vulture, like something like that.
Yeah. And then he was Seraphin's cousin, but doesn't remember Seraphin.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, took away his memories. Yeah.
Oh my
it's funny too because
Seraphin. He's do we like him?
I actually love him.
Me too. Yeah. At the beginning of the book, when we first saw him, like the very first scene when he was like destroying everything, but I was just like, he's kind of hot. Like, I don't know, maybe it's like really dark of me to think, but and then like throughout the next couple of chapters, I was like, well, I don't know how I feel about him, but I love his attitude. Like, I thought he was so funny. And then when we got to know him more, I was like, okay, I love him. I
really just loved the scene at the end when he's like kind of dead. and it's like all that imagery with like the moths and the like
into the
stars
vibes.
and like yes, I got Strange Dreamer vibes, but I just love looking at character art from that scene because it's all so beautiful. Like she just paints a picture that's really cool.
Yeah.
And then so is Seraphim like a god now?
That's what I was thinking.
I think that what the spell was trying to do for the dad really just transferred onto Seraphim. Like it backlashed onto that. So
I wrote that down too. I thought that too. Yeah.
But that made me confused because something happened with Seraphim, and then Malakaj like killed the king, and then he became something greater. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, how did? That's the one thing with the magic system that I was like,
it was
here that gave him power, and then gave him power.
Yeah, that's a good point. But
I think both got power. Yeah.
I always thought that like it was purposeful. Like I actually don't know. Like maybe this is something we find out later that like whatever Malakiaj like did to like he did something in the spell so that Seraphim would come back. And
I thought that too. Yeah.
Because Nadia was like, don't kill him, he's good. And Malakiaj, even though he's evil, secretly like still loves Nadia.
He's not he's my heart's broken.
He's like, okay, I won't kill him. And then so Seraphim got the power, and then he killed the king and was like, well, you're my sacrifice now. And then he's trying to like go to this other plane of existence as well, which I think that means that like somewhere in the world, these gods that like have power over the clerics and stuff must like exist on some other plane or like in some
and they do. They mentioned something about ripping the veil. And I was just like, wait, they're like actual like little creatures that
how cool would it be if they like are characters later on though?
That would be.
They will be, because like if you think about it, I feel like they like how they only have like influence in the one country makes it feel like it's kind of, you know, like Wi-Fi, like their signal can only reach so far.
I didn't think about it that way.
But like I know that they didn't have influence in Travania because they like use all this blood magic to like block them out, but like I don't know. But it's like bizarre if you think that like there's a religion where people are literally hearing voices in their head and like giving them magic. Like just one day like a god is just
I'd
like,
rather
chilling in your
that
head.
than cutting myself.
Absolutely.
I'd be like, oh, I don't want it.
Magic good.
Wait, it's so funny because when I was reading Nevernight, I was like, there's so much blood. But I was been seeing all your stuff about it. But then when I was reading this, there was like just as much blood, but I wasn't as grossed out. I don't know why. Like, I don't know if it was because the magic system was really intriguing that I didn't care about all the cutting. Maybe I don't know.
I don't think it's gross, but it's just like I would never do it. I would rather pray for magic than you know.
I think that's also another thing with this book is that it is like can be a huge trigger to people if they have like self-harm triggers.
Yeah, because they're just like so casually cutting themselves.
Yeah, it's like over and over in the book. It's like very prevalent.
I think there is a trigger warning though in the beginning of the book or something like that. I think that it was like announced online that there was a big trigger warning.
Maybe it was like
maybe you're right. I do remember that.
Like, and that is a very big discussion that's going on right now. Like, I don't know if like a lot of times authors will have it on their websites, but it won't be like in the book itself. But I do think like on her website. No, it's not the same.
Yeah.
I agree. Because like a casual reader won't look at the author's website.
Yeah, that's true for sure. You find that at a thrift shop, you don't even know who the author is at that point, right?
Yeah, and I don't know if that's like if that's publishers that don't want to put it in the book or if it's like I don't know who's responsible for putting like a trigger warning in.
Yeah, for sure.
But
there's a lot of
definitely important.
Yeah, for sure.
Blood and cutting.
Oh yeah, damn, like every 5 words for sure. That's like their whole magic system.
They have special coats so that they can just I was like, what if you accidentally just like brush the wrong way? Like hitting with something and you're just like
oh no, I created magic. Like I think about more things about characters that I have to say is that the two, I can't remember their names for the life of me, but they came from the southern country.
Yeah.
They added nothing to the plot.
Rashid and what? I can't remember the girl's name.
Raji.
Oh, it was like Pari Jahan or something like that.
Yeah.
Pari Jahan,
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know how to pronounce this.
Wow, you pronounced it beautifully, Karina.
Oh, I have listened to the audiobook.
Oh, there you go.
And I still can't say
God.
anyone's name.
That's funny. But they like were just there. There were scenes where like they were in the background the entire time, and like it was so intimate between like Malakazi or whatever his name is and Nadia that I didn't even realize they were there until they said like one word. And like they like I like thought about it and they did nothing to like add to the plot. I hope they're bigger later because like they are two characters that I enjoy, but I just don't think that plot wise they've like contributed.
They were just kind of there to make Nadia more comfortable, like going with Malakiash.
Yeah, definitely. I can see them being a bigger thing though, because it kind of really hints at their backstory of like their sister getting killed in the revenge plot that is kind of like underlying there. But I think it was more of an introduction to these characters.
And there was something that I tabbed that it was like that the girl was hiding something. So there's definitely more to what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Should we talk about Malakiash?
Yes.
Baby.
So, like at first I was just like, oh, he's like kind of morally gray. Like, you know, he seems kind of evil, but like he seems like he's trying to do right from his like, you know, past and try and take down the king, blah, 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 like Viva la Revolution. And then turns out he's just trying to grab more power for himself. And he manipulated Nadia the whole time and was evil.
Yeah. I liked it though. It hurt, but it was a good hurt.
Yeah,
like,
it was like I wasn't expecting a good hurt.
hurt.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I feel like I expected him to get better and just be like, you know what, never mind. I don't care. I'm here for you. And then he was like, power.
Yeah, and he said something like someone somewhere was like, oh, like maybe it was the witch was like, oh, you love her, but it's not enough. It won't be enough for you.
Yeah, the witch said that. I like
F that, man. I forgot about that.
Mm-hmm. So like, do we think that he? Yes, the witch was a bad bitch.
Yeah.
There's so much foreshadowing in that section.
I just like,
so many things are gonna happen.
There's
like
more. I think.
Go ahead.
No, you go.
She said like there's like 4 people at play in what happens in the future, and I saw that and I was like, oh my god, this is just telling us like in the future we're gonna meet new characters and these characters are gonna play a big part.
There's a character named Katya that's gonna be in the next book, which is like kind of the Russian version of Katie. So
oh my god,
there we go.
It's so funny because
it's me.
Like right after she broke out of that thing and ran into Malakiaj, and she was like, and she told him what she did, and he was like, the power you have, or he said something like,
like the things you could do,
yeah. And I was just like, I literally wrote down, I was like, I feel like he's gonna betray her, and then the next like 2 pages we find out that he's the Vulture King, and I was like, or whatever, I was like, no.
Oh my
god. The thing is like he was a Vulture King and Nadia was still like, wasn't she like still like, okay, cool, like let's go forward with this plan, blah blah blah. She's like, okay. And then
it's all good, whatever.
And then he does the whole thing and it just like all goes to shit and she's like, oh, I guess never mind.
But then like she still knows his name, and like she even mentioned, but he still has a name, and then he forgot his name. So I'm like,
oh my god,
because one of the last things is like, but he still has a name, and then at the end of his like epilogue it says, and he can't remember his name. So you like know she's gonna have to pull him back from something, but like, is he too far gone at that point? I hope not, but probably. I don't know. Like,
did he become a creature when he transitioned? Like,
I
remember them being like
all like form,
like still human, but he had like extra things, I think.
Yeah, like
okay, but like super Akatar, right?
Yes,
like was anyone else picturing like like Ryzen's Beast Form? Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
I feel like we've covered plot really well. Like, I don't think that we need to talk anymore about plot because unless anyone has anything to say, but we've covered it so much in the world building and the characters. So
I just have one thing left to say.
Yeah, you go.
I loved the book. like the fact that they have to like rip the page out and they just carry these books around. I'm just like, I wish I could do that. Just have a book of spells, and then you can't even read it. You don't know what I have in there. I could make a puppy, or I could kill you.
I had like,
which would you rather?
I had like never really been super impressed by like the magic system in books. Like I don't not like them, but I don't like, I'm never like super impressed. This I was like actually kind of very impressed by the blood magic system. I thought it was so cool and like very well put together.
It's so unique. Like most magic, you can just go like with a, general elemental, which is always a good time, or like something a little different here or there. But this was just like no other magic system that I've ever read about where you had to pray to a god and then they'll be like, if they're feeling it, they'll give you that. Or you have to literally harm yourself over and over to be able to perform magic. Like it's clearly like either you're like asking another being for magic or you're doing something that like you're hurting yourself. So it's a very much like it has a big cost to do magic.
It's true. And I think that's the big theme of the book too, is like magic comes at a price, right? Are we going to talk a bit more about the ending, or do you feel like we've talked about that?
Well, we can do like ending and predictions for the next one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I like that. Let's see.
Go ahead, Katie.
Okay. So, well, obviously the ending was really shocking because we just didn't know. Like, I just didn't think. We found out that Malachias was the Black Vulture, and I was like, all right, so this like isn't good, but maybe he like will work with Nadia and they'll defeat the king, and then he just like goes off the freaking deep end and is like, fuck all you bitches, I'm gonna stop now. And then somehow like Seraphim is also like, promoted to this other plane of being, which I think will probably be more explored in the next book because that is the one that focuses on Seraphim. But I think like Malachias going to this next plane or whatever kind of spell he did to make himself more powerful, as we can see in the epilogue, is just going to completely backfire and he's going to be in a lot of trouble. And
he already is.
He's already in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
I feel like, and this is just from us talking, that Malachias could very well be a god that's already been mentioned. And like how they keep saying, like, we forget his name, he has a name. He could be one of the 20 that we just like.
Oh my gosh.
That shook me so hard.
Wait,
I remember that passage though. It was like before one of the chapters, but no one else remembers him or something like that.
Well, I thought that was the god that was in the necklace.
The necklace guy.
Oh yeah.
And then like
some gods require blood or something like that.
Yeah, and then she had blood onto the necklace. But like maybe he could become like trapped in something like that.
Oh, I totally think so. Yeah. Yeah.
And then she has to take him out.
I can't find it. No, I can't. No, I can't find it. But there's like a point in her last chapter where she said, like, basically paraphrasing, she said she thought that he knew he had to do this. Like he thought he had to do this to save his country. And I was just like, so she's still sympathizing with him to a certain extent, even like after he's done all that. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I can't take this. This is heartbreaking.
Man, heartbreak. Yeah.
Yes, so heartbreaking.
I feel like that's the author just trying to be like, yeah, he's evil now, but he has intentions. Because I feel like even evil people, I feel like in the back of their head, they think they're doing the right thing. And that's exactly who he is. He believes, like, I'm going to fix everything. I'm going to end the war by becoming a god. But, like, he might just end up destroying everything that they tried to fix.
But what's great is that she wrote him as a character that wasn't just, like, evil for being the sake of being evil. Like, he has a purpose and he is evil with that purpose.
He's a good villain.
And it toys with your feelings.
Yeah, it toys with your feelings, and you start out being like, yes, like this is the love interest, like let's kiss, like ooh, Malachias, and then at the end it's just like no,
it's like evil. The Darkling but better.
Way,
the Darkling but less.
You get more of his story, like you understand Malachias better because you get more of his story.
You understand his motives and everything, right?
Yeah, you get to know him better, for sure. And you fall in love with him, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Can't just be me. I know it's not me.
Do you guys think that it'll be a love triangle now that Malakia is just sort of out of the picture? Do you think it'll be Seraphin and Nadia now?
I don't know.
I didn't in the beginning because I feel like he is kind of like the prince. He's like, for me, I don't know. I feel like I need a bad boy. So he was just very much like, meh, he's there. And they started like flirting and I wasn't feeling it. Like the whole time they were being a little.
I don't know why I had this in my head, but I thought Seraphin was gay before I started the book. And then I realized that he wasn't.
Okay.
But I don't know where I got this from.
I was wondering if he's bisexual because
yes, because with his friend.
The one line she said he's not your type. And I was confused. And she was talking, it was Ostia, and she was talking about the Black Vulture.
Yes.
And she was just like, he's not your type. And I know it could have just been like a joke, but like the fact that it was made in general, I was like, I wonder if that's just like a hint.
I think
at his sexuality.
A hint. I think he might turn out to be either bisexual or gay, to be honest, because like there was also like some sort of like energy between him and his friend at some point. Like
his friend is so cute. Casper or whatever. Love him.
And it was like, I was like, are they gonna kiss right now? Like I just had
like, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
like,
I would be
like
way more for that.
Yeah, I feel like it could be like a tease, and then something will happen in the next book.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I don't know where I got this. Yeah, I don't know like where I got this notion that he was not straight from. Like I guess I just maybe saw something on Twitter or something like that.
Some
but like
characters just give you that vibe.
Yeah.
Like and then a lot of people on Twitter. A lot of people on Twitter like make their head canon.
Thought she was asexual.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. And then she got a boyfriend. I was like,
okay, are we ready to say if it's worth the hype or not?
Yes.
Okay, I think pretty obviously, for my opinion, is that it's worth the hype. I'm curious about Karina's though.
I think it is.
Okay, good.
I feel like personally, it's just like sometimes I tend to be like very picky about things, but I feel like if you're just like a casual reader and like you don't like focus on the bad things so much, then you'll probably like this book. And I can see where people don't like it. I can see both sides of the argument, but I just feel like it's so special. And I feel like people are going to start fighting like, it's not special, it's very basic. Like, no, like the magic system, the world itself, like the vibe, it's so special. And it's just like, it is worth the hype. And I feel like a lot of, like, if it's your type of book, definitely pick it up.
Yeah, I definitely think it's worth the hype. And I was so hyped for it. And then I was seeing negative reviews and I was like, I'm not as hyped. And now I've read it and I'm like, oh, it was worth the hype. And I'm excited. And I think being that it's a debut, like, I think it can only get better from here.
Yeah.
And I think especially now that, like, going forward, we're going to be focusing on Seraphin and Malakiaj, like, by book 3, like, things are going to go down. I think it's only going to get better.
Yeah. I think, obviously, I think it's worth the hype. I know, like, when I was originally writing my review, I was like, is this like, sometimes I get really picky and sometimes I don't. It's really funny. Like, this time around, I was like, is this a 4.5 or a 5? But the amount I've thought about it since then clearly, like, makes me realize how much I literally can't stop thinking about it. I enjoyed it so much. So I was like, it has to be a 5-star in my mind. That's just, so I totally think it's worth the hype. I don't know. And I thought it was so unique, so like original, even though it was like inspired by something, it felt so original and authentic. And yeah, I don't know. I loved it.
Well, not only that too, but it's also such a fast read. Like, I started it and maybe finished it within 4 days because it's action packed and the chapters are not long, and like it literally is like 350 pages. If I'm not wrong, I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So like it's a pretty short book for something that creates a beautiful world, brings you into this very like visual, like Russia kind of looking place. And like it does so much in so little. So like
it felt almost like it read almost like it could have been adult fantasy, with just the writing style of it being like very dense world building and stuff reminded me more of like an adult writing style in a YA book.
I think that's why it kept bringing me back to the Poppy War. It's just like, that's a adult fantasy like book about gods, and then we have this little YA version. I like that it wasn't popular actually.
Oh,
Tea.
Okay, well, our next live show is the end of August. We haven't set a specific day or anything like that, but we're having a guest person join our team, and it is Ilina.
Yay!
So I think she's probably watching it right now. She's probably getting super excited about me mentioning it. So she's going to join us for that. And the book is just actually, Katie, do you want to announce what book it is?
Oh my gosh, yeah, Katie.
Sorcery of Thorns by Margaret Rogerson. Woo! About a magical library. Yay.
I
funny.
didn't really know it was about that.
Oh.
Ooh.
I heard that. I was like, okay, magic library, let's go.
Yeah.
Did you guys read her first book?
Yes.
No, I haven't. Did you like it? What did you rate that?
I rated it 3 stars.
Okay.
I know 3 stars doesn't sound great, but for me, 3 stars is like it's a good book.
Like it was a good book. It just wasn't.
It's funny how like different people's rating systems are, because if I rate something like 3 stars, like I'm very like meh on it.
Yeah,
no,
I'm a very lenient rater.
Yeah, I feel like it's a big jump between like 3 and 4 sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Wait.
That's
I have
a halfway point.
One more thing I wanted to mention, because I felt this, but then kind of didn't. Sorry, we're like backtracking big time.
Oh no, go ahead.
It was out. I was reading somebody's Goodreads review, and they were like, I think they gave it like a 4-star or something, and they were saying that the only thing they didn't like was it felt kind of insta-lovey, and I like didn't feel that way, but then did feel that way, but then didn't feel that way, like as the book progressed. But like I don't know, like I really liked their love story. I didn't feel like it felt insta-lovey, but the pace of the book is really intriguing, where the first 80 or so pages are super fast paced. And then the next couple of chapters, like they kind of time jump without really telling you. Like all of a sudden Seraphin was at that like inn, and then all of a sudden Seraphin was back in his city, where it's like, and then all of a sudden like Malakiaj and Nadia were like at the border, and then all of a sudden they were like, so I get why it might feel insta-lovey to somebody, because you kind of like miss certain points in their journey, but I didn't feel that way. But I was wondering if any of you guys felt that way. That's why I brought it up.
I think maybe not really, but I think it also goes back to Nadia being naive.
Yeah.
And the fact that I definitely think that it started out as Malakiaj manipulating her, and how naive she was, and then then I think through like, we don't get his perspective, so I'm kind of going based off of my theories, but I think that he was manipulating her, and then because she can talk to all 20 of the gods. Most people can only talk to one, and he always talks about her power and like, oh, the things that you can do. And then through that manipulation, he developed feeling for her. But I think for her, she never had anything like that, and she is very naive, which is why it can come off as insta-lovey.
Yeah.
I feel like in the beginning, it was very much like a lust that they felt in between.
Oh yeah.
It wasn't to me, like, it didn't feel like they genuinely like, oh, I like you as a person and I would like to date you. It was more of like, I want to kiss your face off. Like, it's so hot.
Yeah.
That's the vibe that they gave off. And I feel like in between all of that, they kind of found themselves actually liking each other as people.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. No, I didn't. I think because of the pace of the book, it needed to be a bit faster. Like, it definitely wasn't a slow burn romance, which maybe a lot of books do so well now that a lot of people expect that almost.
Yeah.
But I think that it was appropriately paced for the book. And I think she needed to fall in love with him, because the betrayal wouldn't have been so awful if she was like, oh, maybe do I still like him? Like,
yeah. And I think it just, again, it goes back to her. I think like the love story goes back to her character journey, where it just goes to show that she was so naive and sheltered, and like really experienced all this and was like, all right, now I gotta, be my own person.
Yeah.
And just also like her being naive also when it comes to the gods, like blind devotion, just doing whatever they want. And it had talked about like Marzenia is the goddess of death and like her patron god, and how she would command Nadia to kill people, and Nadia would be like, I don't want to kill them.
Yeah.
That she's like, but the gods like demand it of her, and like they'll get
Yeah.
mad at her and not give her magic if they don't do like what she wants.
Yeah.
Oh, do you know what I was thinking about? You know how in the thing, I'll show you.
I'm sad I got an ebook version.
Yes.
It says let them fear her.
Yeah.
That mean the gods, like let the gods fear her.
Oh
my
I kept
God.
thinking about that. I was like, who has, because I saw that and like that was a big selling point, especially like Bookstagram. I kept seeing it and I was like, oh my God, that's so pretty. And I started reading the book and I'm like, who's gonna fear her? Like she's just praying to the gods, like nothing's really happening.
Yeah.
She's losing this battle.
Yeah.
And then they
Yeah.
talked about like the gods kind of like shunning her away because like she was too powerful, and I'm like,
Yeah.
She like wasn't listening
her
to them.
fear.
Absolutely.
I think at the end when she was like, my magic is my own, and like that's like the witch was saying, like a witch is a cleric that realizes that they don't have to answer to the gods or whatever. So
yeah, so she's a witch now.
Yeah, she is.
So
Oh my
she's
gosh.
like gonna make everyone pay for what they did to her.
Yeah.
I feel like such an idiot for not realizing from the beginning that Malachiaj was gonna like be this way, because we never got his perspective. Like I should have known.
Yeah, you're right.
Like why?
Like he was hiding something.
Yeah, like why didn't we get his perspective? Oh, that's why.
Yeah.
Because he's the Black Vulture.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I wonder like whose perspectives we're gonna get in the second book.
I feel like we have to get Malachiaj, don't you think? Like, I mean, I'm hoping.
He's kind of doing his own
hints
thing.
at that.
Yeah, and I think his chapters though will probably be like shorter because he's not gonna know like what's going on. It's gonna kind of be like an epilogue.
Oh my gosh, like when Dorian was taken over by a fog.
Yes.
Love
Have
him.
you guys read So Dark and Lonely?
Yes.
No, I haven't.
It's like that. I'm not gonna say it, but it feels like what happened with this person is happening with this person.
Oh my gosh, seriously.
Like that's the plot line that's coming.
Oh my gosh.
He turned into this beast, and I think that the reason probably that like because it seems like whatever happened to Seraphim and whatever Malachiaj was trying to do was like the same thing, but I think it went wrong with Malachiaj because he's had all this Black Vulture like stuff experiments on him go wrong, and like we don't know what happened to him.
Tortured
to make him like this evil, but
yeah,
he's just a soft boy. Okay.
Inside, absolutely.
Inside.
Okay, yeah. Another thing.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
I think Nadia brought out the soft boy in him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
oh,
absolutely. Which is like my favorite trope too. When it's like dark boy with like falling in love with like little girl.
He like said something at some point when he was like right before everything went down, he like said like no matter what happens tomorrow, like just know like you're the best thing that's ever happened to me. And I was like,
He meant that.
Yeah.
That was real. He's in love with her. It's so obvious. Oh my gosh, I can't.
And then at one point I have this line underlined. He wasn't the only one lying. She was doing a perfectly good job lying to herself.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
That one hit me hard.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
That hurt. Oh man.
Okay, yeah, I have it. And then like, okay, so he kissed her, and it says he kissed her. It was hungry and purposeful, and spoke clearly of wanting. It surprised her how desperate he felt. It frightened her just a bit as well, because he's like, oh, like this is gonna be the last time I can kiss her. And then he goes, if something happens tomorrow, I want you to know you are the only good thing that has ever happened to me.
I mean, the foreshadowing is
that is
like
such foreshadowing.
palpable. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how we know that he secretly loves her. He still loves her.
Not secretly, straight up.
Yeah,
straight up. Like, you just like know it's like she is gonna have to pull him out of something somewhere.
Yeah.
I just hope it's not like, maybe I'm just like kind of being a hopeless romantic in this sense, but I just hope it's not like she's gotten to the point where she's like given up on loving him, but she still loves him enough to like save him, because that's like more heartbreaking than him just like dying. You know what I mean? Like that would like rip my heart out of my chest.
Like I wonder what she's gonna do now that she discovered she has all this magic. Like what she's
gonna be a bad bitch.
Is she gonna go after the gods? Is she gonna? Because now the king is dead, right? So she just like has Seraphim, and Seraphim is like
he has the crown
kind of, yeah. So like, what are they gonna do with it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like shit's gonna hit the fan in there.
And
like
then the new
city.
character that is gonna be like introduced in the second one. Like, I wonder what kind of role they're gonna play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it seems like they're gonna be important. So.
Oh, absolutely. I wonder if it'll be a new perspective added to the chapters.
That too.
Yeah.
But it seems like they're gonna be, because of the prophecy or whatever. There's 4 players, right?
Yeah. She'll definitely be added to it. Good. We could use another girl.
Yes.
Okay. Well, are you guys good? Have we got this out of our systems?
Been dying to do this for so long.
Yeah.
So fun.
It was so much fun. Thanks
was.
everyone for joining too. Our next one for Sorcery of Thorns is going to be sick because I didn't like the book. I read it already and it's Katie's favorite book. So it's going to be
Are you going to like try to reread it or like listen to it, Majelle?
I think I am, just because I like, even now I'm thinking about it and I'm like, I don't think I could like rattle off the things I hate as easily as I could like maybe a few weeks ago.
I'm also rereading it, but I'm gonna like reread it and treasure it.
Yeah. You're gonna enjoy the experience of it.
I'm
gonna be
so
like,
surprised that you hated it though, because I feel like it would be a book that you would like.
I guess
we gotta save that.
Yeah.
Some tea. A little preview.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess I'm gonna end the broadcast.
Okay. Bye.
So, bye.
Bye, guys.
Cheese.